This video is sponsored by Blinkist. NFL rookies dream of making it to the league their whole lives. But once they get there, they quickly realize, you know what? This might be a little bit tougher than I thought. But while many rookies eventually adapt and position themselves to have a bright future, some guys have a tougher time making the transition. Tennessee Titans rookie offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson is the latter. Dude's already had 2 run-ins with the cops since being drafted earlier this year. And a disturbing Instagram post has a lot of people concerned about Isaiah's future as an NFL player. And look, I share their concern for Isaiah's NFL future. But after seeing that post and all the things that's been going on with dude, I actually have a greater concern for Isaiah Wilson, the 21-year-old kid. Dude seems to be struggling with something internally right now, and today we're gonna take a brief look at his football story and how he needs to turn it around quickly in order to make sure this isn't his football story's final chapter. I definitely don't think this is gonna be the last video I make on Isaiah, as I'll likely follow up with his story after some time has passed. I want to revisit this later to see if things have progressed positively or continue to go in the wrong direction. With that said, it's time to jump in, so without further ado, y'all already know what time it is, man. Cue the Wayne. Yo, here in 2020, it's essential to keep your mental game strong. One of the easiest, most efficient ways to do that is by using today's video sponsor, Blinkist. Over on the Blinkist app, they've condensed over 3,000 non-fiction books all the way down to around 15 minutes a piece. You can read them off the screen or listen to them podcast style. Only 15 minutes to soak up some knowledge and strengthen your mental game. That's a win. I like to strengthen my mind and body at the same time when I'm at the gym, or sometimes I'll throw in a book during my morning shower or while I'm having coffee. 2 books I'd recommend to get you started is Failing Forward by John Maxwell and The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. It's only going to take you like 30 minutes to soak up all the game dropped in both of these books. And if you keep an open mind and really buy in, it's pretty much guaranteed to strengthen your mental game. The first 100 people to go to Blinkist.com/FlemLo, y'all are going to get 100% access to the website for an entire week for free. And you're gonna save 25% off if you decide to purchase a full membership. So again, 7-day free trial, you can cancel anytime. If you're interested, bro, click the link in the description and visit Blinkist.com/FlemLo. Shout out to Blinkist once again for sponsoring the video. Without further ado, let's get it. Isaiah Wilson grew up in Southeast Brooklyn. Not necessarily the first place you think of when you think about football recruits, but he stood out at an early age as he was actually recruited to play ball at a private high school when he was just an elementary kid playing Little League. His size and athleticism jumped out of recruiters from the prestigious Poly Prep, and the fact that dude was a good student made him a perfect candidate. The problem was scholarships were only partial, so Isaiah's parents really had to clamp down to come up with the difference. It put a strain on the family financially, but they wanted what was best for their kid, so they made it work. Isaiah got up every morning to take a 75-minute bus commute to and from school. Dude walked into Poly Prep as a 275-pound freshman, but he actually had issues early on dealing with the physicality. He had been so much bigger than everybody his entire life, he really wasn't used to being in a physical struggle. His coach actually came up with a great idea. He suggested that Isaiah join the wrestling team, which Isaiah did. Dude ran through opponents and really learned how to use his strength and weight properly. The freshman eventually fell to a senior wrestler in a close match, but not just any senior. That same cat, the only cat Isaiah lost to, would go on to win the state championship. Isaiah obviously could have had a bright future in wrestling, but his future was way brighter in the sport that he was actually there to play, football. Not to mention in wrestling, the league Poly Prep was in actually had a weight limit of 275 pounds. So by the time Isaiah was a sophomore, he was way too big to even make that weight. He was already 300 pounds by 10th grade. With that said, his time on the mat paid off as he began getting recruited for football as a sophomore. Wrestling had really turned dude into a dog, and he had a way of attacking the defensive lineman while blocking that colleges loved. Dude was nasty, and I'm no expert on offensive linemen, but if they're ever described as nasty, that means they're a dog, they cold. By the time he was a senior, the 6'7", 350-pound offensive tackle was a consensus 5-star recruit and was soon about to drastically change his reality. Despite the fact that he was way up in Brooklyn, SEC schools was lining up to try to land this huge recruit. Ultimately, Isaiah decided to attend Georgia. By all accounts, his time with the Bulldogs went well. After a redshirt season, he became a starter in 2018, balled out, and then in 2019, as a redshirt sophomore, he was actually named second team All-SEC. When he declared for the NFL draft, his offensive line coach at Georgia raved about him, saying he was a tough, coachable player. He said he was a hard worker, and he's a guy that the room and the fans are gonna like. And when you check the scouting reports under the red flag section, there are none, which kind of surprised me, right? Because things like this don't generally just appear out of nowhere. Chances are there were signs, but the signs were likely ignored or just missed altogether. Isaiah would go on to be drafted in the first round, 29th overall by the Titans this year, and he was expected to come in and compete for a starting right tackle position. And other than this hilarious incident during the draft involving his girlfriend and his mom, everything seemed pretty normal when dude was drafted. But only a few months later, when things are becoming crystal clear, something's not right with Isaiah. To be fair, players in this year's draft are being held to a higher standard than normal. Just given the current circumstances with the pandemic and everything. Autograph signings, celebrations, and parties, things that wouldn't really seem like a big deal for a new NFL draftee, in this climate can easily be seen as irresponsible. At the same time, Isaiah's quickly filled up a rap sheet, and I'm not sure how many strikes he'll get. In August, only a few months after being drafted, Isaiah was caught at a college party at TCU. When the police showed up, according to their reports, Isaiah actually attempted or considered jumping off a 2-story balcony to evade them. A 300-pound man who was just drafted into the NFL jumping off of a balcony just for attending a college party? Decision making was clearly a bit of an issue right there. Fortunately, he did not make the jump and was instead charged with trespassing. The Titans dropped like a little statement. Wasn't a huge deal, but it became a big deal because he was supposed to be avoiding unnecessary contact with other people, and then he ended up on the COVID-19 reserve list, meaning he either didn't pass a test or he was just thought to be around people who did not pass a test. And the thing is, he ended up on the reserve list not once, but twice. 2 huge mistakes that caused him to miss valuable time if he wanted to compete for that starting right tackle position. Then when you couple those 2 mistakes with reports that he looked out of shape and was exhausted after a pretty light training camp practice, it all started to paint a not so flattering picture. But all in all, it looked like a little bit of irresponsibility, but something he theoretically could have bounced back from relatively quick. At least that seemed to be the case until a few days ago. September 12, 2020, when Isaiah was arrested on a DUI charge. The breathalyzer actually showed him well over the legal limit, and if that ain't enough evidence, dude was actually doing donuts, lost control of his car, and hit a concrete wall. Again, super daredevil type behavior. Why is he doing this? It seems like he's probably dealing with something. Dude has no documented history of this type of stuff. This is new. And why would this crop up right after he gets drafted? Clearly, something's not right. Things had escalated quickly from irresponsibly attending a college party all the way up to a DUI that could have been a lot worse. But unfortunately for Isaiah, things just keep getting worse and worse. According to an article on BroadwaySportsMedia.com, Isaiah wrote this on his Instagram story before deleting it. Honestly, I hate life. I'm messing up. I'm making mistakes. I'm not myself. Now check it out. I actually came across this on Twitter, and then I went searching for the source of this. And this is honestly the only article I saw actually covering this. It's not really getting any press at this point, and I'm not sure why that is. Maybe people just don't want to talk about it. Maybe this is like a hoax or not real or something. I really don't know. But assuming he did actually post this, this is a really scary thing for somebody to post. Like this right here, in my opinion, should be taken extremely seriously. It feels like a cry for help, you know what I'm saying? Again, dude doesn't have a documented history of any of this. He's a 21-year-old kid who is clearly having some struggles. And these last 8 months or so have been a huge struggle for all of us, really. And some people have seen harsher effects of the isolation and the anxiety that comes with our current situation, more so than some other people have. Doesn't mean they're weaker, doesn't mean you're better if you're not experiencing these things. We're all wired differently. We got different triggers, you feel me? I actually think a lot of us have probably been affected in ways that we don't even know yet. Like this is stuff that's gonna probably come to light a little bit later in our lives as we get to know ourselves better. Football is generally a meritocracy where you gotta earn every single thing you get on the field. So if Titan fans want to be upset about a first round draft pick that isn't off to a great start, I completely understand that. Like, feel how you feel about Isaiah Wilson, the player. But as far as Isaiah Wilson, the person, right now I think a show of support from fans would really go a long way. And this is the internet, so I gotta say this. Dude obviously deserves whatever punishment he gets for his DUI, any laws he's broken, and he should be disciplined by the Titans for putting himself in that position, which I'm sure violates team rules. That's all fine and good. With that said, the dude really needs some guidance, bro. If that comes in the form of counseling, a mentor, you should probably do both. If he's actually got like some real mental issues, which it seems like he does, but again, we don't really know. I'm not no damn expert or nothing. But with these signs, it's obviously something that they should look into and actually get dude in front of a professional to see what's going on there and give him the help that he needs. You feel me? I've been a fan of what head coach Mike Vrabels has been doing with this Tennessee Titans team, and he actually came out with a statement on Isaiah that made me like him even more. Here's what he had to say. Isaiah's a good-natured kid, good-hearted. Since I've been with him, he's very engaged. Adversity can go one of two ways. You can make positive change or some guys fade away. Hopefully we can all come together and Isaiah can improve to help the team. I think we're pretty comfortable with the person we brought here. There's good people that make mistakes and there's bad people. I don't think Isaiah's a bad person. This shows me that the Titans are gonna at least attempt to give dude the support that he needs. With that said, how long they do that for, that's a different story. Like, they're not gonna be doing this forever. So if you're Isaiah and the team gives you that opportunity, they get you help, they try to get you up to speed and give you some time, you gotta make the most of it, because if you don't, at that point, they'll be well within their rights to just move on. Hopefully this can kind of morph into a turnaround story. Isaiah's an extremely bright dude. Like, reading his interviews, I could tell the way he speaks. Dude is smart as hell, bro. So I know he has the capability to overcome whatever it is that he's dealing with. With that said, he's already got multiple strikes with a team that he really hasn't even had time to build up any goodwill with. So he's gonna have to get swinging in the right direction, or this could be his last at bat. If you watched the video all to the end, thanks so much. I appreciate all the support. And if you want even more FlemLo Raps content, I recently launched a podcast with my friend and fellow YouTuber, KTO. It's called Sports Therapy and it drops every Tuesday. You can click the link right here on the screen to watch the first 2 episodes. If you like what you're seeing here over there, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications to the Sports Therapy YouTube channel. Other than that, my name is FlemLo Raps. I'ma holler at y'all next time, fellas. Peace.